100% Chance of Wine, sponsored by The Lodge at Columbia Point.
Today on 100% Chance of Wine, we are back here at the WSU Wine Science Center, joined by the director, Thomas. And research is very important here for what you guys do, helping out with the industry, partnering with them. And just tell me about some of the important projects that you guys are working on.
Yeah, so we plan research projects with our industry partners every year. Many of them are run over 3 years or 5 years. For example, is working on the impact of smoke from wildfires on wine flavors.
How far along are you with that kind of research in the smoke?
We're looking right now to identify what are the chemicals that are responsible for that flavor defect that we find in some wines. So we've been able to identify probably at least a dozen different compounds. They're in different forms, so we're working that out. So the goal here is to have key components that we can analyze in every batch of grapes and then predict whether it's going to be a problem or not.
And you guys said you have your own vineyard right now that you're able to kind of simulate what's happening.
Yep.
You have the smoke and you compare it with years that might have had an actual wildfire too.
Right, yeah. So we have a control system that we developed where we can expose rows of vines with fruit on them for various lengths of time with smoke. We want to know at what time of the fruit ripening is the wine quality impacted, how much smoke does it take, what kind of smoke does it take before we get a problem or no problem. And so we're doing that in controlled experiments in our vineyard. And then the fruit is brought here and we make wines from it to see what parts of the smoke actually translate into the wine.
Yeah, and so moving on, I want to get to what we have behind me because there's so many things that are available for you. We have in this tank, you said, what you call an extended maceration?
Yep, so we're looking at changes in wine flavor as the skins stay in contact with the wine for weeks and several months. So we have different sets of fermentations here that we press off at various lengths of contact.
Tell me more about what we're looking at here.
On the harvest maturity, we pick the fruit at 3 very different stages of ripening. At an early stage, which is around 22, 24 bricks. Mid stage for us is probably 24, 26, and then a very mature or over mature around 28 bricks. And then we would take that fruit, the lower maturity fruit, we added some sugar to bring it up to the higher bricks and fermented that compared to the lower bricks. The very high bricks juice fruit we would dilute down to bring it down to the same alcohol content. The main question was, how much does the alcohol content drive the flavors that we perceive in the wine? And it does to a very large degree.
You're learning a lot from this project.
So we're learning that. So that, again, the winery then can see, they will probably find they have a wider harvest window to choose from than what they traditionally thought they had. That gives them a very important, more flexibility to bring in the fruit and schedule that. And then all they do, then they adjust maybe the winemaking.
Yeah, very, very important.
Yeah.
Fresh on everyone's minds this year, of course, was the early freeze that we had. How has that, you said you're doing your own experiment here in the back with those kind of grapes.
Yep.
So let's head back there and see those.
So with these 6 bins of fruit here, we have here 3 bins of grapes that were just standard harvest, machine harvest, and then crushed and fermented. And in these 3 bins, we took very special care to take out every leaf, every stem that had been frozen out there.
Okay.
So we're comparing a processing technique.
Okay.
The harvest the fruit the way it would come off from the vines, or trying to get rid of all the leaves which are dead now.
Right.
And keep them out of the fermentation. We think that most of that the taint primarily comes from the frozen and dead leaves.
Right.
When they freeze, they turn brown and brittle, and there seems to be something happening in that dead tissue, a flavor being formed that gives us that unwanted flavor.
And you can smell the difference
Yep.
coming from this one versus
Yep.
the
Compared
one
to that.
without any
Already
yeast.
now, yeah.
What
Yeah.
are someone who can't smell this? What are some of the smells that you're getting from this?
We're getting an artificial fruit flavor that's candy, strawberry, rose petal smell that becomes a bit obnoxious. Nothing is good when it's completely dominant. It becomes boring. So
Right.
trying to figure out what these aromas are so that we can again analyze the fruit before we make wine from it.
You know, with all the projects that you guys have going on here, you provide such useful information to this area. How has that collaboration been, I guess, the end result?
Well, I like to think that the end result is visible in the wines and the quality of wines that's being made. And I think that our research at WSU is a big part of the high quality of the wines that we see in Washington State. It starts with site selection, with irrigation management, disease management, and then winemaking techniques. So we continue to explore options for the industry, maybe change some flavors, make something new, so we can help this industry to keep growing so well.